Shiny Pokemon. With only a very small chance of appearing, it's not hard to see why players of the franchise sit there for hours waiting for one to finally appear. I mean, think about it. Why settle for an interdimensional devil thing with red highlights when you could have one with blue highlights instead? There I was trying to think of an idea for a video when suddenly I thought, hey, why don't I make a video that absolutely no one has done before? So I booted up Pokemon Platinum with plans to travel the Sinnoh region and become the champion by using only a full team of shiny Pokemon. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and find yourself enjoying the content, and thank you so much for watching the video in the first place. I hope you enjoy. I wasted enough time on my holidays recording this video, so I'm not going to waste any time. I started by naming myself Mark and my rival Stinky, and it was time to pick my starter Pokemon. I opted for Chimchar because, well, I feel like it has the most dramatic change compared to the other two. I picked my starter, threw it out, and... not shiny. Well, I mean, I guess that would be too easy, so I reset my game and tried again. I rinse and repeated those two steps for the next couple of days before finally... oh, yes! Shiny Chimchar! Yeah, so I got my shiny Chimchar, which I appropriately named Ketchup, because right now, he just looks like a bottle of tomato sauce. I fought my way through most of the early routes, showed Stinky who's boss, and became very nervous when Ketchup approached his teenage rebellious phase. But the small adventure gave me enough time to figure out who my next shiny would be, but first... Rourke. The first gym leader wasn't too hard. Ketchup just kept throwing out super effective mark punches until every one of Rourke's Pokemon went down and I had obtained my first gym badge. Back in Jubilife City, I teamed up with Dawn to take down some Team Galaxy grunts who were bullying the elderly, and I finally decided on my next shiny Pokemon. So I wandered around a cave for what felt like a literal eternity until this happened. Oh, yes! Oh, thank you! Oh god, look at you, you're so ugly. I got my little green bat and named her Mavis because... blah, blah, blah. With my collection of shiny Pokemon growing by the minute, I headed towards Valley Win... wait a minute. So, I completely forgot that I could only use shiny Pokemon, which happens to include the HM slave I would need for the journey. So, with my head hung low, I bolted straight back to Route 201 in order to look for a Pokemon that I just hate. And it took so many days and nights. It's right about now that I should introduce you to the 5 stages of shiny hunting. The first stage is excitement. You've planned out which Pokemon you want to hunt, and you begin. The next stage is hope. Maybe it's been a few hours, and you've started thinking, alright, any minute now, I'm gonna find a shiny. The third stage is doubt. You start getting this feeling creeping up over you that maybe shinies don't actually exist. Maybe something is wrong with your game, and now you're sitting there wasting away precious hours you could be spending with loved ones. I was starting to feel this third stage pretty hard searching for this dumb Pokemon, but after about a week and a half of on and off playing, well... oh, wait! Yes! Oh, thank you! Oh, yes! I caught him, named him Bidoofus, taught him Rock Smash, and then continued my journey. I didn't have much difficulty clearing out the windworks because Ketchup did most of the heavy lifting. Eterna Forest was a breeze, and before I knew it, I was in Eterna City facing down Gardenia for my second gym badge. Once again, the fight wasn't too difficult. I pretty much just used the same method of using super effective moves against Gardenia's Pokemon. Despite copying a paralysis against Roserade, Ketchup came through and landed a Flame Wheel for the victory, and I claimed my second badge. By now, I had already locked in the next member for my party, but first I wanted to clear out the Galactic base, which I did with little difficulty thanks to my amazing team of Sparkles. For my next shiny companion, I had to travel to a haunted house, because this Pokemon only appears from 8 o'clock onwards. I went and made some dinner, and continued editing this video until it was time to start soft resetting. If you guys guessed Rotom, well, you'd be right. Now, I've been looking forward to showing you guys this part of the video, because I only have one word to sum up how my resetting adventures went. Lucky. There's just no other words. Like, let's just count how many resets this was together. Oh, no, what? You're kidding me. No. 9 resets. 9. I was just in shock. I was honestly prepared to spend another week hunting for this cutie pie, but instead I got blessed with the luck of the sparkle gods and found this thing in 9 resets. I named him 1.21 and continued my journey to Hardhome City. Once there, I challenged Fantina to a fist fight in front of everyone. She declined and instead offered to have a Pokemon battle, which I reluctantly accepted. Mavis evolved, and using nothing but a torch and my unique ability to recognize shapes, I met with Fantina. This battle was slightly harder. I didn't have many moves to deal major damage to her team. 1.21 went down after Duskull fainted, and Ketchup was only just able to take care of the other 2, which secured me badge number 3. Stinky was jealous of Fantina's loss and wanted in on the action, so I granted him his wish and made my way to Veilstone City. I then played some weird Clefairy game where I got coins in exchange for... I gambled. I just gambled. After definitely not gambling, it was time to go challenge the one gym leader who would finally accept my fistfight invitation, and probably win too, Maylene. She showed me her feat and we went straight to work. Most of the heavy lifting was done by Mavis and her wing attack. The only kind of trouble I had was with her Lucario, but after getting both paralyzed and confused, there wasn't much he could do, and Maylene handed over the 4th badge. On the way to Pastoria, I got some much needed training in and faced off against Stinky once I found myself inside the city. I don't think he really understood the idea because he failed to beat me yet again, and Mavis decided that it was time to become a fully fledged adult. Bidoophus still looked ugly, and I made my way inside Pastoria's gym to face off against Crasher Wake. I had some difficulty against Wake's Floatzel, who just kept demolishing my team, before I realized I could teach Ketchup Grass Knot to help even out the fight. This was the right call, as now I had 2 Pokemon that could deal major damage to Wake's team. 1.21 took care of most of the gym leader's Pokemon before Ketchup was called out to finish the job. I got my 5th gym badge, and I was already flying through the game. I flew back to Hardhome City to talk to BB in order to hunt my next shiny, Eevee. This hunt didn't take as long as Ketchup, but man did it drain me. Remember the 5 stages of shiny hunting? Well, the 4th stage is acceptance. It's been hours, days, maybe even weeks, and you accept that you've spent all this time looking for this shiny, that you're either going to find it, or give up. There is no alternative. The 5th stage is realization. You did it. You finally found your shiny Pokemon. You feel relieved. The hunt is over, but wait, it's not. Suddenly, you're hit with the realization that you're gonna have to do this all over again. This was me. I knew that after finding this Eevee, there was an even bigger hunt waiting for me just around the corner. But regardless of what was to come, this happened. Yes! Oh, let's go! Thank you, shiny Eevee. Oh, thank you. After I'd obtained my shiny Eevee, I chased and fought a terrorist, and Cynthia gave me some duck medicine that was only meant for ducks. I ended up drinking it anyway, and it tasted exactly like duck medicine. I don't know. Once I finished up there, I travelled back to Solaceon Town so I could head north towards my next destination. The Psyducks that were blocking the path were so mad that I drank all their medicine that they ended up just walking away in a huff, leaving me to hunt for the one shiny Pokemon I had been waiting for. Now, this Pokemon isn't necessarily my favourite, but damn is it one of my favourite shinies. It's just so cute and fluffy and beaver looking. Wait, what? No, you fuck. Yeah, so after days of searching for this shiny Swablu, I instead ran into another f***ing Bidoophus. This was kind of a pivotal moment for me. I gave up. I couldn't handle those eyeballs and the defeat of not being able to find my favourite shiny. So I continued towards Celestic Town, and on the way, Ketchup tried cheering me up by evolving into Infernape. It didn't work too well. Once in Celestic Town, Cynthia's grandma directed me to a scary cave where I fought another terrorist and was reintroduced to Cyrus, the leader of Team Galactic. Blah blah blah, we ended up fighting, and he ran away with his tail between his legs. Granny was so impressed with my skills that she suggested I go to Canalive City to face Berg's dad, Byron. She gave me Surf as a parting gift, and this was the moment I realized that I didn't have a Pokemon that could surf. But wait, I did. Much to my dismay, I evolved Bidoophus and taught him Surf so I could make my way to Canalav when I needed to. It was at this time that I also realized that I never nicknamed Eevee, so I flew back to Eterna City and Stevie the Eevee was born. All my side quests were nearly complete. All I had to do now was finish my anime training arc at Iron Islands alongside another trainer named Riley. After our many battles together, he gave me an egg. It wasn't a shiny looking egg though, so it looks like I'll be having an omelette for breakfast. I entered the gym and rode some elevators up and down until it was time to face Big Daddy Byron. This battle actually annoyed me for one reason, and one reason only. Byron's Bastiodon nearly swept my entire team, and it was down to Bidoophus. I didn't expect anything spectacular to come from this dumb Pokemon, so I kept spamming Surf until Bidoophus fainted. Only, he didn't faint. He kept surfing and surfing until Byron's final Pokemon went down and I claimed my 6th badge. Maybe Bidoophus wasn't so bad after. Nope, still hate him. But you know what I hated even more? Defeat. I went straight back to the north side of Route 210 to hunt once again for this Swablu. There is just no way I was going down without one more fight. So I searched and searched and searched. And guess what? It paid off. Oh! Yes! 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 Thank you! Oh my god. As you can tell, I was extremely excited. It took a long ass time to find this Swablu, which shall henceforth be known as Floofy. With Floofy joining the team, I almost had a full team of shiny Pokemon, I just had one more to obtain. The only problem is, I had no idea which Pokemon I wanted. In the meantime, I paid a visit to some of the lakes to see what Team Galactic was up to. They weren't doing anything too out of the ordinary, just suffocating a bunch of Magikarp. I took care of Commander Saturn and Commander Mars, and set forth towards Snow Point City. It was on the way to the city that I remembered how much I hated this part of the game. So slow. But on a somewhat brighter side, I managed to evolve Eevee into one of the worst looking shinies across all the games. For reference, this is what Glaceon normally looks like. I reached Snow Point City, and while sliding around for a little bit inside the city's gym, Floofy evolved into the biggest floof I've ever floofed. My team was finally looking more complete, minus the disgusting beaver, and I challenged Candace for my 7th badge. I'll save you some time, she ended up utterly destroying my team. So I looked for alternative solutions to her Ice-type Pokemon. I flew back to Orberg City so that I could take a trip into Wayward Cave. I found Earthquake and taught it to Floofy in hopes that she could help me deal with some of Candace's Pokemon and take the pressure off of Ketchup. Yep, so no, that idea went straight to shit as soon as Floofy got one shot. Ketchup must have just been trolling the first battle because he ended up downing Frostlass and just one-shotting Abomasnow. Unbelievable. Candace handed over the Icicle badge and I crawled towards the final lake where I arrived just in time to see Stinky get stanked. After making small talk with Jupiter, I flew back to Velstone City to make a full frontal assault on Galactic headquarters. I trained Floofy up by letting her tackle most of the Galactic grunts, interrupted a very important meeting, and met once again with Cyrus. Ketchup in 1.21 handled him easily, and as a reward, he presented me with his Master Balls. I released the 3 Guardian Pokemon that Team Galactic had kidnapped, and even gave my own speech.
Is this thing on? Yes, well, I just want to say subscribe to the channel.
Whoa, hey, whoa. Seriously, dude?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we
No, hang on, you thought nothing. These guys might be new to the channel, and what, you want to blast them with shameless self-promotion?
Alright, I'm sorry, can you get back to the video now?
Yeah, fine, but I've got my eye on you. I bolted straight to Mount Coronet in order to stop Team Galactic from taking over the world. The way up the mountain was actually a really good opportunity to train some more of my team, and I actually decided what my next shiny Pokemon would be. Look, I wasn't originally going to hunt for this, because some might consider it cheating, but I was also about 600 hours deep into this game, and even in my dreams there was Pokemon. Once I got to the top of Mount Coronet, Stinky helped me beat 2 of the Galactic Commanders, and we watched as Cyrus summoned both Dialga and Palkia. What he didn't count on was another legendary rocking up and pulling some Five Nights at Freddy's type shit. I followed Fazbear and Cyrus into the distortion world and stumbled around sideways and even upside down. I found Cyrus slowly losing his marbles and silenced him once and for all. In order to restore balance to both worlds and make sure they don't collapse in on each other, Cynthia told me I would have to catch a shiny Giratina. Apparently a normal one isn't, like, as powerful or something. I was a little sus, but I guess it makes sense. So, with a whole world to lose and a pink monkey by my side, I saved my game and began the hunt. This, I'm pretty sure, was my second longest hunt. It took a good amount of time, and the amount of episodes of Pokemon Sun and Moon I got through while resetting was insane. At one point, I started to lose my mind. I mean, could you imagine listening to this? For days! But all good things must come to an end, and after listening to Giratina's sick beats for a couple of weeks, I finally found him. Shiny! Yes! Oh, oh yes, yes, yes. But the luck didn't stop there. Not wanting to use my Master Ball, I threw a Pokeball, and on the first try, of course I didn't f***ing catch him on the first try with a Pokeball. What, you really think I'm that lucky? I got scared, threw my Master Ball, and named the Devil of Parallel Dimensions Eggs. Professor Rowan and Dawn were uber proud of me and told me to go and claim my 8th badge from Sunny Shore City. I welcomed Eggs to the party and met with Volkner at the 8th and final gym. His Jolteon ended up being the biggest problem for me, but after a lucky switch out, I was able to blitz through most of his Pokemon with Ketchup. I almost got swept, and it was up to the new addition to prove to me and the team that he belonged. It took a couple of Shadow Forces, but Eggs clutched up, defeated Volkner, and secured me my last badge. And now, the challenge begins. I made my way north towards Victory Road where I could finally get some much needed training. I knew my team was seriously underleveled for the Elite Four, so I tried to battle as many trainers as I could. After exploring most of Victory Road and battling loads of different Pokemon, I made it out the other side and headed inside to face my biggest challenge yet. No, not you, Stinky, for God's sake, go away. Stinky got absolutely rolled, and I just had this gut feeling that I was ready to face the 5 greatest trainers in all of— No. I was not ready. I got absolutely and utterly destroyed. I was actually embarrassed at how hard I got demolished by Aaron, a bug-type trainer by the way, weak to my Ketchup's fire moves. I got swept and I knew that I couldn't go back in there without leveling up more around the region. I rematched so many trainers, got some much needed experience, and some much needed upgrades for my team's movesets. I grinded for honestly what felt like the longest time until all of my Pokemon were around level 50. I wasn't the most confident, but I mean I could only try, right? So I entered the Elite Four once again and began my rematch against Bug Trainer Aaron. The start of the battle went well for me as Ketchup OHKO'd most of Aaron's Pokemon. The one I did struggle against however was Drapion. This thing is an absolute menace. I had no ground type moves that could deal massive damage to it, so I had to chip away slowly at it with Mavis going down in the process. The rest of the battle was a breeze, with Ketchup just throwing flames at every living thing he saw. And, well, Eggs throwing rocks at a Bumblebee. Aaron was defeated, and 3 more trainers stood in my way. Next up was Bertha. And now don't let looks deceive you. This sweet old woman is scary. Her ground types are nothing to laugh at, and nearly every single one of my Pokemon were weak against her moveset. Luckily, I had a secret weapon up my sleeve, in the form of Stevie. You know, in hindsight, maybe I should have just named him Sleevey instead. His new moveset was looking promising, as he downed most of Bertha's scary Pokemon, including her Rhyperior. I also want to point out how slow Gen 4 HP bars are. Ugh. Stevie landed one last Blizzard onto Bertha's final Pokemon, and now there were only 2 members left to face. Next in line was— hold up. Is that Ronald McDonald? This battle was more of an unhappy meal. Once again, not having many super effective options against Flint's Fire-type Pokemon was just painful. Floofy got some damage in before Mavis was brought out to deal with Houndoom, before getting switched in with Ketchup. This wasn't the best idea, as he ended up getting a taste of his own medicine, and Mavis had to be brought back out to land the finishing blow. Other than that, the battle was pretty breezy. I actually thought this was the funniest thing ever though. The AI kept making Rapidash bounce, and I just kept countering him with Fly. Even when I landed, however, he just kept bouncing, and this ended up costing Flint the victory, and he went down. The final member was Lucian. Now, this was a bit more difficult. I had to really think and strategize for this battle just a bit more, because once again, I found myself in a rut with typing issues. It also didn't help that the first thing Mr. Mime does is set up Light Screen and Reflect. Luckily, I also had an ace up my sleevey and brought out Eggs to deal with most of Lucian's team. Gallade was definitely the scariest Pokemon I'd faced so far, with most of my team going down to him. But Eggs came in super clutch. He just wouldn't give up. And before I knew it, Lucian had gone down. And now, the battle we've all been waiting for. For those of you who don't know, Cynthia is rated as one of the hardest battles across every single Pokemon game. Her Garchomp is next level. For this battle, I needed luck. And to believe in my team, but also lots and lots of luck. Because I wasn't prepared to see Cynthia's Pokemon's levels. Spiritomb came out first, which was no issue for Stevie. He ended up freezing his opponent, which allowed him to finish him off on the next turn. Next in was Lucario. I was a little hesitant on sending out Ketchup into this fight, and was honestly considering Mavis, but I believed in my starter. Instead of using Psychic or Earthquake though, for some reason Lucario opted for Aura Sphere, which didn't end up knocking out Ketchup. Ketchup answered back with a super effective close combat, and Lucario was slowly, but surely, knocked out of the fight. Next was a Pokemon that I was terrified of. You can see a theme here, right? Milotic. I only had one single move out of my entire party that was super effective against this Pokemon, so I threw out Mavis so that I could try and chip Milotic enough where I could just land a Thunder from 1.21 and hopefully knock it out. I made a miscalculation here, and I thought I could outspeed Milotic and set up a light screen before knocking her out. But she surfed all over 1.21, and my only hope of killing this thing went down. Until Eggs came out. Eggs landed his last Shadow Force and actually just ended up knocking Milotic out. I was doing amazing. Up until this point, things hadn't been going exactly as planned, but my improv skills were keeping me above hot water. That was until Cynthia's Garchomp came out. I sent in Stevie to try and one-shot the Garchomp that was 12 levels above him with one last Blizzard. I absolutely could not miss. But I did, and Stevie went down. I felt extremely bad here, but I had to use Floofy as fodder to try and get my only hope of nuking this thing back up. I got Stevie back up and sent him in, only for him to be flinched out of his next turn. Nothing was going my way, and at this point, I had put my head on the table and given up. I sent out Eggs ready to see the blackout screen, but it never came. Eggs, wanting to show Garchomp what a true dragon could do, ended up outspeeding him and slamming him with 2 Dragon Fangs, sending Garchomp back to Cynthia. This was my chance. Roserade was out next, who was at a massive disadvantage against Ketchup, and I found myself in one last battle against Togekiss. Ketchup landed a nice flamethrower for major damage, and he passed the torch to Eggs to finish the battle. All I had to do was not hit myself in confusion. Eggs reached out and grabbed victory with his little dragon arm thingies, and with one last Dragon Claw, I became the new champion of the Sinnoh region. So there you go. Just like that, the adventure is over. It was long. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video because it did take a really long time. It ended up actually taking way longer than I expected, and it's unfortunate that I never kept an exact track of how many resets or encounters I experienced, because they don't count towards the final time I spent in-game searching for shiny Pokemon. Now, I'm still pretty new to the YouTube world, so if you enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like or comment on the video, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.